it's me, Ali again. Back at it again with some psych ward stories, because I did do a video last time telling a few, but I have so many stories, so many things have happened in all of the time that I was there. So it's time that I use my own trauma to make content once again. Okay, so for those who have never set foot in a psych ward, all you need to know is that things can get really crazy really fast, and a lot of things happen. Like I said before, the best gossip comes from the psych ward. And so a lot of these stories have traveled a bit. My friend often goes back to the psych ward, and some stuff that happened while I was there is still being talked about to this day. So legends happen in the psych ward. And the first legend I would like to tell you about is the legend of the big bald man. When I arrived at the psych ward the first time, I was very disoriented. I was really weirded out. People were kind of weird. It was a funny situation, but not that funny. And so my friend, who I called Amy in the last video, was kind of the guide for the psych ward experience for me. So she would tell me a lot about different things. And during the first day, at some point, Amy pulls me aside and says, "Be careful. At night, there is a great big bald man that will try to shove his flashlight into your eyeballs. Be careful." And I'm just sitting there what? What? Why? So, in the psych ward, every hour or so, someone will come into your room at night specifically to check if you're sleeping or if you're doing okay, and if you're not sleeping, they will write it down. So you would regularly have people coming in at night, but they were very discreet. And so Amy tells me that one time there was a woman there who was sleeping, and she awoke to a giant bald man standing over her, shoving his flashlight into her eyes to see if they were closed. And she started screaming, and I was like, oh, that sounds terrifying. So a few days go by, a few nights go by, and not much happens during the night. It's pretty chill. And so the people that are gonna watch you for the night, the nurses, are not the same nurses that are there during the day. And so we're eating dinner, and the night nurses start arriving. And then Amy just pulls me aside and goes, look, it's him, the great bald guy is here. And so I look outside the little windows that were in the playroom, and I see just this giant man, but he just looked very sweet. So it was kind of weird. She had given me a description that sounded kind of terrifying, but he just looked very sweet, to be honest. But yeah, and so after that, every time someone new would appear, we would tell them, be careful, at night the great big bald man can appear. And so it's kind of like the creepypasta of the psych ward. Another thing to note about the psych ward is that you're gonna get really bored really fast. And so to solve this boredom, you're gonna start doing the wildest things ever. And one day, all of us were really bored. This is a completely separate story. And I don't know why, but my friend Amy and another dude decided that they were gonna start writing anonymous letters, which I did participate in. I did make a few, but they would write weird stuff on paper and shove the papers in very unknown corners of the room or in the ceiling, so that if someone starts cleaning up, they're gonna find it and be weirded out. And so when I made my anonymous letters, I just wrote mildly disturbing things, and I didn't sign it or anything. I wrote stuff I absorbed the universe through my eyeballs, stuff like that. But Amy and that dude were not the brightest on this one, and they decided to write a solicitation for spicy activities, but as a joke. They were oh, if you're looking for some hot stuff, send a direct message to those accounts. And so they put their own Instagram accounts there. And so Amy was okay with that because the name of her Instagram was not her real name, so you could not know whose Instagram that was. Except the other dude that was there gave his Instagram, and his Instagram was literally his first name and last name. And eventually the nurses found the paper, and so they knocked on his door and they were like, what is this? If you're looking for hot stuff, send a what? Yeah, what is this? And it was so hilarious. We would like mess with the staff a lot. A thing that happened just before I arrived was the boat saga. For some reason, one day a professor that was there, that was doing professor stuff, I don't know why he was there, a psychiatrist, used the metaphor we're all in the same boat, and everyone despised that man. And so out of spite, everyone started making little paper boats, and like hundreds of them, hundreds of different sizes, and shoving them everywhere, on the windows, on the plants, making teeny tiny ones that they would like hide underneath like furniture, and they would write random stuff with it. Just hundreds of them everywhere. And the nurse kept trying to take them down, but at some point they got so overwhelmed with it that they gave up. And now if you go to that psych ward, the boats are still there. There's like still hundreds of boats everywhere, just out of spite. So overall, to conclude, I'll remind everyone that like, if you need help at some point, do not be afraid of getting like hospitalized. If you fear for your own safety, at least to like make sure that you're being watched over by people who care. And I know every psych ward gives a very different experience, and I'm not like making this video to say, oh, people who had a bad experience there are lying, because that's absolutely not the case. Some of them are way less fun than others. And I got lucky to find a good one with dedicated staff. So that's a little disclaimer I wanted to add. I hope you like the drawing in the background. I'm considering starting to sell adoptables, but I don't know if anyone would be interested. Let me know in the comments if I should start just selling some. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you another time.